this is not going to be about police, believe it or not. A different kind of terrorists. I'm sure y'all heard Greta Thunberg, and I'm not on the Greta Thunberg train. However, I'm not on the genocide train either. And what Israel's doing to the Palestinians is this genocide. They're blocking any kind of aid going in. It gets blocked or stolen. They say that Hamas is stealing it. Not true. If that was true, they would have let those ships pass through international waters, mind you, and get that aid to Palestinians. It's not what happened. Israel boarded those ships, took 447, 48 people hostage because in international waters, Israel has no jurisdiction over that shit. And took them hostage. Benjamin Netanyahu has an international warrant out for him for war crimes, for using food as a weapon to starving women and children. Yet the United States of America, oddly, you see and hear nothing about it. There's no protests. Why? Oh, Orange Man made that just recently became a quote unquote crime. Can't protest on campuses. All the historical places that would be hold protests are not having protests over the shit. And we just allow it to happen. Your money's funded it, in fact. You got up and went to work today to fund that. Why? Because the United States funds, we don't only give them $3.8 billion a year and, just here's a pallet of cash. We fund their entire military. Their military has the same weapons our military does. You know why? Because they take out of our stockpiles and hand it over to them fuckers. And, who's making the money off of it? You already know who is. The ones passing these stupid ass policies and laws saying that you can't talk about with these people. Nazi. Oddly enough, if you think back to elementary school, middle school, high school, you were always the only thing you ever heard about Jews was the Holocaust and how there's this guy who this crazy evil man who killed 6 million Jews. Oddly, what's oddly about that is there was a newspaper article that came out. That number came out 2 weeks after World War II ended in Europe. So you're telling me in 1945 they had the technology or even the organization across all of those countries to know the exact number of Jews that were killed during the Holocaust. Weird. But with that said, they don't go back prior to that. There's a guy named Case the Car guy that kind of went down this road of the Munich Putsch. I forget the name of it. I forget the exact name of it. Munich, something Putsch. That was Munich Putsch. Where, Jews started. They'll talk about the Bolshevik Wars where Jews killed 50 to 60 million Christians. Why isn't this left out? Is it so odd to think that if a couple of people in the world had the money to influence world politics, that in a generation or two they could control the entire world? Is that out of the realm of possibility? I've been saying that shit for years. And that's exactly what's happened. And we're seeing our country turn into what led up to the push, where liberalism took over, the economy crashed, immigration spiked, illegal immigration spiked. Now you have all these billionaires who are banking off of all the shit that's harming you and I financially. They don't care because they think their worth, their funds that it's all tax free anyway. They do it through stock markets and stock trading and putting stocks up as collateral on loans and defaulting on the loans, and then the stock is taken or they pay with the stock, and it's awesome, totally scam shit that if you and I did, we go to fucking prison over. Don't pay your income taxes for a couple of years. Sue will probably come knocking. Now, with that said, there's been years I haven't paid income taxes. Hell, I may not even paying them right now. But aren't you sick of paying for this shit? Aren't you sick of every Monday of your life going, at least every Monday? Realistically, it's every Monday, Tuesday, and a big part of Wednesday that goes toward funding all this bullshit that, if you support it, more power to you. Give your money away. In fact, how about you pay what they would take from me since you support it so much? How about that? Let's go back to being a free country, not a socialist one as we are now. And you pay what you want. If you want something, you pay for it. If you don't want it, you don't pay for it. Why don't we go back to that? And then those of you that want to fund these endless wars and make these people rich, more power to you. Do it. I mean, look what happened in Afghanistan. 20-year war. But 5,000 U.S. soldiers died. They're now heroes because they died for fucking bankers and politicians. Make that shit make sense. People are stupid though. They believe it. They believe that. They're fighting for my freedoms. Yeah, okay. Goat herders were ever going to affect your life in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And then we left the place far much fucking worse than it was when we got there. And not only that, then we left a bunch of equipment there too. The equipment don't matter so much because people there, we say that they can't keep it up. But you ever watch those dudes rebuild they'll rebuild big diesel cat motors on the ground and a bunch of dirt and shit. And it'll run it and it'll actually work afterward. So, humans do weird shit sometimes. Like, personally, I'm just burnt out on it. And oddly enough, how come Israel hasn't been deemed a terrorist, organization by the United States when all these other people have? Let's think about this. You have drug cartels who, if not for the laws saying they couldn't do these things, it would be all mutual transaction based, right? Once you're down to the lower levels, especially, the street level dealer, maybe the guy that buys a key and busts it up and sells it out in ounces or however they do. Once you get down to that level, there's not really much killing it. It's all mutual transactions. Then the guy who buys a couple of ounces or whatever he can afford, a few grams, starting out, bust it down into tenths and mutual transactions. But we deem those people terrorists because there's so many people dying in the United States every year. All who knew when they did that drug, they were rolling the fucking dice with their life, and they were willing to take that chance. But somehow the guy who sold the stuff is responsible. That's like making Ford responsible because I drive a Ford. I got an 02 F-250. These trucks are known to during rollover crashes to have. There's actually cases out there where people sued for it over this. In rollover accidents where the cabs crush on them because the A pillars, B pillars, well, specifically A pillars and B pillars. In the single cabs, and even in the crew cabs, it's not as bad, are not really up to standard of holding the weight of the truck. So they don't just like crush, they crush. I mean, flat. Be like me suing Ford, or somebody putting a Ford executive in jail because Nick decides to buy a Ford and Nick goes and, rolls the dice and drives 120 miles an hour down the interstate and, around or down the road around a 35 mile an hour corner or just whatever, and I die in it. It'd be like them arresting, making Ford a terrorist organization now because 40,000 people died this year driving Fords. Like, none of it makes any sense. But it makes sense to the law-abiding. I keep talking about this fucking idiot my cousin's married to, and he is, dude. He is a fucking moron. I made a post about Charlie Kirk, and he said something about how he will live on, his message will live on, or something stupid. And I said, my reply to him was basically, somebody said that, and you heard them say that, and you just repeated that. You literally have nothing to say other than what you can repeat. His reply, ha ha, laughing emoji. I'm like, you're too stupid to even realize you just proved my point. But these are the fuckers that think that they're the majority is the problem. We're not supposed to live in a mob-run country where the majority rules, what the majority wants they get. You're supposed to be able to live free and live your life and make your own choices and do your own thing. And it just blows my mind that nobody wants that anymore. They want to use government violence to make people do what they want them to do. I mean, what happened to that thing of just living life, man? And are we ever going to get a chance to do that again? As a human species? Are we ever going to get that chance? Is there a place that we can do that? Well, no. Because every other country has made it damn near impossible to get guns. And if you ain't got a gun, then you're a slave. Plain and simple. Canada just passed a voluntary buyback. But as of October or March 2026, if you don't let them buy your assault-style weapons back, then that means all kinds of shit. Handguns, rifles, all kinds of stuff. Then you're now breaking the law, you're a criminal, they're going to come get you, and you're going to go to jail if you let them take you to jail. The smart ones would get together with their neighbors and say, we're not going to let anybody get it. It's not going to go down that way. But again, you have this law-abiding citizen nonsense where they believe the law equates to some fucking kind of morality or moral compass. I don't know. It's weird to me. It's absolutely weird. And that's why things are the way they are. They're not going to change. They're only going to get worse. And in case of the car guys, it says about a 100-year cycle. I think it probably takes 100, 150 years to crash a country. If the country's doing good, it probably takes 150 years to crash it. And I think a real reason, like looking at it now, one reason the Civil War was actually fought was because they didn't want to have to infiltrate two countries and try to make both the countries crash. It's easier to do it as one. And we're now the federal state of America. You have all these yahoos on, all these gun tubers on YouTube applauding like seals at the circus because this bill just got put forward for national reciprocity. And the reasoning behind why the federal government has authority to do this is because guns are federally regulated because of the interstate commerce, which is totally bullshit, never what it was fucking intended for. Therefore, they can create the laws on guns. And they're applauding like seals because this is something they think will benefit them. You fucking idiots. If you go along with this and agree they have the authority to do something like national reciprocity, which all gun control is unconstitutional, then you're also going to agree that they have the authority to say all guns are illegal or whatever else they want to do. Just the stupidity of the average person is just, it's always gotten to me. And then it got to me a little worse. And then I realized I was a slave and it really got bad. Now it's just like utter fucking stupidity. I live around morons. Literally. Eating, breathing, pissing, shitting morons. Everywhere. Everywhere. To the point, like, I don't even want to talk to nobody. If I didn't know you 5 years ago, I don't want to talk to you. If I didn't talk to you on a regular basis 5 years ago, I ain't got nothing to say to you. We are too far apart. So my mom's boyfriend said something the other day about some guy named Chris who was some spec ops guy, right? Who I'd really like. I said, no, I wouldn't. Yeah, you would. No, I wouldn't. Yeah, you would. He's got this and that. And he said some crazy shit. I'm like, that doesn't mean I would like the guy at all. Why? Because you like him and you're a fucking idiot, which means I'm not going to like him and I wouldn't like him. But we're only getting closer and closer to violence in the streets, and I think in some degree, like, people say they want civil war, no, they don't, because they want the power and they want the control, all of them, not one side, not Democrats or Republicans, all of them. They all want the control. What they want to happen is for me and you to take violence into the streets. That way they have a justification to control us faster and harder. I mean, you have this whole ICE deal, right? We're going way off the rails with this, I know. You had this whole ICE deal where people are up in arms about them importing illegals. Listen, I'm completely anti-illegal immigration. There's reasons for that. There's reasons the founders put, whatever that in our Constitution. It's literally in there. Our Congress should create laws for naturalization, right? And it's mainly for economic purposes. However, you see the housing purposes. So who benefits from all this? Who benefits from all this illegal immigration? Billionaires. That's who. Who benefits from all these? What is it? HB1 visas, H1B1. That's a vaccine. HB1 visas. Who benefits from all that? Billionaires. Then you have BlackRock buying up half the country, private housing, artificially inflating the housing market. To the point now where housing's not ever going to go back down. If you remember back when I sold my house, I truly believed that it was a spike, right? It was like a bubble and it was going to burst and then they were going to drop again. And it's just not what happened. It's not going to happen. Why? Because at the same time they did that, they made your labor valueless. So now it takes 3 times the work to buy the same whatever that widget is, because the dollar's worth less, which makes you worth less. In turn, you're worthless. But I don't know. When people wake up, I mean, some people are slowly waking up. I think people are maybe waking up through the political games, where they're like, yeah, fuck it, they're all the same. Maybe not but I just don't think it's at a fast enough pace. And then even if they do all wake up, are they all going to be willing to do anything? Probably not. Why? Because they will be where you and I were at 10 years ago or 5 years ago, however long, whatever that number is. Which means, they haven't trained. They don't know anything about firearms. They don't have any firearms. By then, it's going to be too hard to get. I mean, look at the cost of that shit now. It's absolutely ridiculous. And, everybody thought when COVID happened that there was that big shortage on ammo. The ammo prices would come back down. That's just the opposite. I mean, I was scrolling the old net last night just checking shit out. A case of 7.62 by 39, almost $500. Are you shitting me? Well, that shit was damn near free 10 years ago. break up even. It wasn't nowhere near that. The more expensive they make, the more labor it takes for you to buy. The less you can afford, the less you have. The less you have, the less you can practice, the less proficient you are. While at the same time, there are enforcers, ICE or otherwise. And that's what I was going to say about ICE. I don't agree with them covering their faces. They should have name tags on them and shit, just like regular cops. But what will happen is instead of that happening, it'll go the opposite way, to where regular cops will have their face covered and not have name tags and shit. That's what will eventually happen. In order to be justified by the shit going on with ICE. Gotta keep our heroes in blue safe, right? Fucking idiots. Anyway, I gotta go. You have a good day. Stay safe.